we're definitely at that point now, right? Like just as the Jeffrey Epstein stuff.
Absolutely. They have to
they
fan
just,
the flames all over again, even though he's right that the trend is down. People are like, you know what, like they've been talking about polar ice caps melting, and first it was global cooling back in the 50s and 60s, and then it changed to global warming. But even though the temperatures are actually going down, we can't admit it because global warming has to be real. And it's just like this schizophrenic gaslighting.
Yeah, but this guy's also in that last part there. He's really calling it what it is.
Right.
That the infrastructure, our electricity. He's talking about our modern conveniences, our industrial revolution. He's talking about ripping it up. Now, that's not him saying we should do that. That's him saying that's what's being proposed.
That's the consequences
That's the
of a Greta Thunberg being like, 50% is not enough. After 20 or 30 years, we need to make it.
And he says, see, again, I give this guy credit for pointing out the freaking obvious fact of the all the weather stations being by places that are urbanized, and we're pouring black asphalt all over the ground. It's going to be hot there, relative to the actual rest of the earth. But he says, it'll be the infrastructure is devastating, to rip up in 15 years. This is a process, and it's like therein lies his continued acceptance of the premise that, okay, would it still not be devastating for it to happen over 100 years? Is that still a good transition to go from an industrialized, like wealthy nation to a deindustrialized, poor nation?
Depopulated.
Okay, so if it's devastating over 15 years, isn't it still devastating over 100 years or 80 years? Like, we're still going backwards, dude. We're ripping up the infrastructure. We don't want to do that.
We don't want to do that.
Because it's really not hurting anything except for a bunch of nerds looking at, their charts and their temperature readings and, catastrophizing around that. Right?
Well, and then, again, it's the whole perpetuation of the Terraqueous orb cult. And, AKA homeworld, planet Earth, Big Bang cosmology. So, I mean, do we really believe that the longest standing treaty in human history, the Antarctic Treaty, amongst the most nations, is for purely neutral, scientific, quote unquote, experiments like ice core drilling? It's like, no, there's known seed vaults. There's probably an F ton of terra incognito that's totally inhabitable. I mean,
above and below ground.
Oh yeah,
above and below ground. The idea that we've only drilled 8 miles is a whitewash.
Yeah,
that's what the oil industry has publicly done.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I mean,
and it's weird. You go down 8 miles. There's this oil.
Right.
That we bring up and we refine, and that's just a lot of rock and eventually metal and then molten core. Nothing down there worth exploring. Nothing beyond Antarctica worth exploring. The only place you want to go is up into the sky, but oh wait, only NASA can do it, and they're also climate catastrophists themselves. I mean, it's just so circular and circuitous, like back into the closed feedback loop of exterminism, and all back to the source, which is just more government propaganda.
Right. And we've discussed government as being literally etymologically mind control or control of the mind.
Right.
So it just
don't even have an imagination.
And just let reality be dictated to you for your own good,
just
because
sit in
you
a corner
can't do any better
and vibrate over in anxiety over the carbon emissions. Hold your breath until you don't emit any more CO2, and sayonara.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's what they want you to do.
And meanwhile, just believe that there's a discrete ice continent at the bottom of a Terraqueous orb where there's only core drilling and
seed vaulting
and a barbershop pole that is sticking upside down, which is a South Pole, supposedly. Yeah. I mean, you have to accept that if you accept the idea that cow farts and human activity are going to end the planet as we know it.
So on that note, I'm just going to close the episode. This is your hosts of the Zitidic Newscast, Dave, and Xavier Diamant. Please visit our website, zitidic.news, and subscribe to the Zitidic Newscast on the right-hand side. You can also visit our YouTube channel, which you just search Zitidic News Network. And for as long as they will allow us, we will post our episodes with video and hopefully high-quality audio on the YouTube. We're going to be ramping up additional content, not just episodes, but we're going to start working with other channels and having interviews and other sort of sidebar conversations, not limited to the bi-weekly episodic approach, long form that we've been doing. We're hoping to expand our operation. As an example of that, I did a couple reports in the last week I want to highlight. One around Orange County, North Carolina's proposed, it wasn't proposed, right? It was just suggested. It wasn't suggested. It was just discussed, the gun discharge regulation, because some residents who were moving into a new residential development complained about gunfire out in the country. And so I did the work of downloading the discussion that took place in the halls of Delphi in Orange County, where they're talking about the gun discharge regulations and how to enforce them. And it was,
hypothetically, of course,
it was an interesting conversation. This is just one example of many that more that we hope to be dropping on the Zitidic News website.
Absolutely.
As well as additional features. Not much has changed in that regard. We've just been getting ready for this episode, and let's just stay in touch.
Absolutely.
Any parting comments, Xavier?
Just stay tuned. I think that we've got some pretty eclectic but unique and insightful material that dovetails in with a lot of pertinent ongoing news. And, the article will be posted shortly, probably tomorrow. And stay tuned.
Thank you. Signing off.
Yeah.